Microsoft 365 Copilot Cowork carries out tasks on your behalf. You can describe what you need, it sends emails, creates documents, schedules meetings, and manages your calendar. And many of those tasks are achieved through something called skills. You can have skills for Word, Excel, PowerPoint, deep research, and more. But did you know you can actually create your own? I have about 40 custom skills on top of that for my day to day work, dialed into exactly how I work and my own workflows. I'm going to show you how you can do this in two different ways. And if you're ever unsure what skills you actually have enabled in Cowork, you can simply ask it and it will show it very simply. But first, what is a skill? It's essentially a markdown file, a set of instructions that tells Cowork what to do, when to trigger, and how to behave. It has two core parts: the description at the top, which is how Cowork decides when to load it in, and the body, which is the actual instructions. And let me show you a quick example of what that looks like. So if I open up my notepad here is one of the markdown files I've opened for a skill that I've used in the past. You can see at the top, this is your core description, which is the identifier, the name, what it does, how to call it. And then under that, everything below this highlight that I've just done is essentially those clear descriptions of what you want it to be able to do, the detailed steps, any other considerations that you want it to follow in. And so it's as simple as that. That's what a markdown file looks like. And of course, you can use AI or even Copilot to just help you generate these files as skills. Now, Cowork stores your custom skills in your own OneDrive. So under your user, documents, the file called Cowork, and then you're going to want to create a folder called skills. And that's where Cowork will essentially store each of the different skills that you can then view and manage as appropriately. Now, let's get into the two ways to build skills in Copilot Cowork. Now, the first way is the most natural. Just have a conversation with Copilot Cowork until you get the output that you want. For this example, I've created a skill for creating an earnings report in a visualization of a Sankey diagram. You've probably seen that before when I've posted it. And I worked out exactly how I want it to be built. I went through some iterations and refinements, which I'll show you in a moment. And once I was happy, I asked Cowork to save it as a skill that I can then reuse for any other earnings reports in the future. So let's bring that to life. So I'm in Copilot Cowork, and you can see this is an active session that I've just finished. And I want to talk it through so you can see an example of just having a conversation about a task I want it to complete, and then saving it as a skill that I can then reuse in the future. And so that top level prompt was, when Microsoft releases a new quarterly earnings report, create a flowing Sankey-style interactive visualization showing cash movement from products to profit, and the thickness represents the amount. I added an example attachment, which was the visual that I typically post every quarter. And then I also gave them a link to the live website, which talks about Microsoft's earnings report, so it can pull the latest information. Again, it's gone away and created the first step of an attempt at a visualization. So a simple HTML experience that I can go through and go, okay, look, this is how Microsoft's performing and where all the breakdown is going on. And just from a couple of lines, it's done a pretty good job, but I did want to go further. And so this is just an example to show how you can continue to make edits and refinements to that skill as needed. I asked it to save it as a PNG because then I wanted one that I could then share. I then actually wanted to make it changes into the certain headers that were being used. And then I continued until I was very happy. I did note and said, it looks like some fonts overlapping. It then built an iteration of that kind of skill to then figure out how it could then remove that error. And I also asked it, could you call out to follow Jack Rowbotham in the visual just as an extra example of how it can make changes? And then once I was happy, I said, can you create a skill from this conversation and turn it into something I can use in Cowork in the future? So when the next Microsoft earnings report comes out, I can just reuse it. And again, what it did, it created that markdown file. You can see the YAML of the things that I wanted it to do. It gave a body of that workflow as well, like extracting the numbers, writing the JSON config, and various other things as well. Now, I didn't stop there. I created that first skill, and I was pretty happy with it, which is perfect. But then I also learned that you can also do different steps of like design checks as well, because sometimes you want AI to analyze AI and go, that first iteration maybe isn't perfect for me. I actually want to continue to have AI to say, this could look better, do this change. And so I asked it to do a two-phase redesign check on the visual. And then by the end of that, it updated the skill and it did a quality scorecard for me. So it said, this is how good the skill is looking. If there's any errors, I could make changes, which look perfect. And it even put it into a nice HTML for me so I could see where this skill was looking good and where this skill could be better. And that's that. I went from just a conversation about a task I was trying to achieve, create a Sankey diagram for the latest releases from Microsoft in terms of earnings. And then I want to reuse that for the future, save it as a skill, and I can call that again. Now, anytime I need that skill, I can just call it. I could call it out specifically, or I could even have, one of those words that was mentioned in the description of the markdown file mentioned in the body of that task, and it will then call that skill for me. No re-explaining, no starting over with the context. It understands those little details, like making sure that it doesn't overlap font that I called out in the first way. Now, the second way is for anyone using skills in another AI tool. You've probably already have markdown files that have been created and you're using them already. And they already do exactly what you want them already to be doing. But you don't want to rebuild them every single time you switch an AI tool. So you could grab that markdown file individually, just a simple or single individual skill, or even a folder of skills, and drop them into the Cowork chat. And you can ask them to turn them directly into skills that you could use in Copilot Cowork. And again, you could go back and forth like I did in that first example, refining the dependencies, the trigger words, the format, until you're happy and they're live. And so what I'm going to show you is a quick example of how I do that at scale and how I have 40 custom skills from that so you can follow along. And so I'm going to go to the next example, which is in GitHub. And you can see this is a very popular one for marketing people. This is a best practice that someone called Corey Haynes has created, a central repository on GitHub that shared tons of different skills for marketing people to be more effective with AI. And you can see the breakdown of how these skills work and connect. Like here's a broad marketing context skill, and then there's various different categories of how a marketer could be more effective. Now keep listening even if you're not doing marketing, because it's just showing how you can upload and work with these different files. And so I want to bring all of these skills into my Copilot Cowork because I don't have them yet. And I'm going to show you how to do that very quickly. So if we go to the top, we can go to the little code button and click download zip. And that will just, give you a compressed zip file of all of the different pieces of skills that you want to be able to upload into Cowork. I want to navigate to Cowork. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to say turn this folder. So that's attached that zip that I've just done. So make sure you add it over. Turn this folder of markdown files into skills for Copilot Cowork. And we're going to give it a moment and see how it does. All right, so it looks like it's finished. And what you'll see, it's only done 39 because I did do a test run on one of the skills already. So you can see an example of how it works, which is perfect. So I'm happy with all of the 40 different skills that now I've got instantly available to use. Maybe I've been using them in another AI tool, can reuse those skills directly in Cowork. And I can double check as these take some time. So just note that if you're looking for them instantly in the OneDrive folder under Cowork and in skills, it does take a little bit of time to refresh and update. And I can also go back, create a new task, and just say, what skills do I have available in Cowork? We'll give that a second to pull out the ones that it's just created. So let's see if it's already refreshed. Again, it's showing the out-of-the-box ones that are already available, but now you can see the 40 plus that we've just created for marketing and growth, SEO, conversion, analytics, strategy and ops, and many more, which is perfect. And so this is just a quick way to say, which skills do I actually have available that I can then use instantly? Again, you don't need to get the full list to then call out which skill. You could just go straight into your prompt, mention the reference to the skill, and it will know which one. So I'll say, I would to run the marketing ideas skill, please, for an enterprise marketing strategy for SaaS products. Now, a lot of these skills are actually designed to ask additional questions and clarify and find the real intent of the user, which is perfect. So sometimes if you don't include all the information, it will ask questions anyway, just to prompt it and make sure it's going down the right path for you, which is perfect. So we'll give that a second and see how it runs. And just knowing that the skill is working, you can see it on the right under all the different details. Usually there's an inputs and outputs, and you can see it's called that specific skill. Now, again, just to reiterate, you don't need to say what skills do I have available and then ask the skill. You can just call the skill outright from a blank net new task, and it will be able to do it from there. And again, from zero, not having really any skills, uploading a quick compressed file of 40 different marketing skills Adding it into Cowork, asking it to translate those markdown files directly into skills for you to use in Cowork and then use them instantly is perfect for something that I'm looking for to move fast with real relevant skills that can add a lot of value for me. And this looks great. It's pulled out the context of how to be a expert in marketing for specific enterprise scenarios, and I'm very happy with that. And it doesn't stop there. You can create custom skills for so many different scenarios. It could be workflow shortcuts like status reports or one-to-one prep, document and content templates like branded decks or launch briefs, domain expertise like style guides or product positioning, or even skills for your personal preferences like summary formats or audience tone. Now, to recap, you saw two methods to build custom skills. Turn a good conversation into a repeatable skill like the Sankey diagram that I showed, or bring skills and markdown folders or files from other places, other AI tools, and place them directly into Cowork so they're ready and available to go and you can use them quickly here. Either way, you can stop rebuilding your context from scratch every session and start quickly with all of the context needed. And one thing worth knowing, right now you can create up to 50 custom skills in Copilot Cowork. I'm at 40, so I've got room for 10 more, but there's so much opportunity for you all to be able to build some excellent scenarios to help you use AI more effectively. Now, this is my first video like this, so if you got something from it, the best thing you can do is hit a like and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds and it really does mean a lot to me. Tell me in the comments what you want to see next. Is it more Cowork? Is it some workflow content? Whatever it is, I'm listening. And if you found this useful, share it with someone else. I'd love to hear the feedback from everyone else watching this video today. Thank you.